Hey, happy Tuesday. It's Tyrone Gethers Jr., your host of the Source of Inkwell live on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. You can check out this broadcast in a number of ways. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube. Number some more, TuneIn Radio, and KUAW.org, and type in KUAW Radio, and this show will pop right up. On a couple of those mods, you can not only listen to us, you can also view us as well, too. You can also hit us up at 816-599-6893 to call in and give us your comments or join in on the commentary. And as well, KUAW is a community radio station. We are here in the heart of the inner city in the W.B. Du Bois Learning Center. So please, donate. Or if you would like to come in and do your own show or be on a show, hit us up with that as well, too. Today, I've been knowing this brother for a few years, known him in different modes and mods. Met him with poetry, met him on radio, and also actually educated his daughter, too. So my very special guest, one of my close friends in the arts, is Mr. Ed Rollins.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
It's all good, man. Like I said, Ed is down-to-earth kind of, cat. I had to get on because Ed has a real nice concept that's going on that he's been doing for years and took a little break, and now he's reigniting it. So we brought Ed in to discuss this piece because it's something that we all need to know. It's something that's we all need to go and witness. So, Ed, I'll go ahead and let you go ahead and jump in and just hit him right hard with what you want to do.
So, God blessed me to start a created open mic back in 2006 called For His Will. The acronym in the beginning stand for helping and saving what is lacking and lost. So that was our goal, just to allow yourselves to be invoked in poetry, whatever your God-given talent is within the arts. And so we did that for a number of years. Some things kind of happened throughout my life, man, with the passing of my daughter, and that, kind of changed my direction. But it was amazing that a friend of mine hit me up about something, and people always ask me, when you coming back? And I was like, I don't know. So after some conversations and realizing some things that I needed to do, we back. So For His Will, the return is going to take place Saturday, September the 24th at 7, doors open at 6:30 at actually Mr. B's, which is 7815 Prospect. It is a restaurant / event space. So we're going to have some fun, man. We're going to have some amazing poets, singers. My homie Brent Rice is going to be in the building. Lakeisha Star Harvey is going to be in the building. My daughter, super happy to be able to feature my daughter for the first time. Yeah. She's been performing at different locations, but she's never been in a place where she can feature where everybody can actually come and see her. So that was also really one of the other parts of why I kind of came back. As well as some other things, spiritually, that we needed to do. And I felt like that after the pandemic, a lot of things have shifted. So I think now was just the time for me to get it back because of the camaraderie that we had, the time to basically just let you know that believers can have fun. And It can be fun to be saved, man. And so we're going to kick it. The music's going to be loud. The poetry is going to be amazing, singing. So we have an open mic as well. So It's going to be amazing, man. I'm so hyped about it. Like I cannot wait. So I'm counting down the days for real.
Yeah, because I know there's been a couple of them that I've seen in the past, and you and I actually went to the city of Raytown to kind of get on a bigger scale.
Yes.
And because what you're doing is it needs to have a lot of eyes on it. You made a good point. You said believers can have fun as well, too.
Yes.
And people think that when you are a believer that it's all boring and all humdrum, but no. Believers can have fun. They can have fun in the Lord, have fun in the faith. And when you came up to me years ago and was like, hey, something else I want to do with this. And I said, well, let's go to the city of Raytown. And shout out to former city councilman Jason Green.
Yeah, he was real intricate part of some of the things that we did in Raytown. Yeah, so that was real huge, man. And for them to be so open, to bringing things into the city of Raytown, that was beneficial too. So
yeah, because and also to have you on the city council floor speaking about this, and the mayor was giving you a nod. Mayor Mike Madonna was like, yeah, okay, I like this, and of course, city councilman liked it. Then I think you had some individuals come up to you afterwards and said, "Hey, let me put it on the Raytown webpage, or let me do
Yes.
this, or let me do that."
Yeah, we actually got a lot of publicity as a result of that. A lot of people realize that the one thing about the arts too, I think it allows you, it helps in your education, in writing. It strengthens you in many different ways, and also it's therapy too. And so when you kind of, put it in that perspective, you combining those things and giving, youth and just adults in general an opportunity to express themselves. I believe we were able to, I don't want to say hit a nerve, but basically create a common ground where they realized that this was something that was valuable to their community. And so we actually did the Poets and Autumn tour that I was allowed to, blessed to be a part of as far as a promoter for at Graceway on 55th and Blue Ridge. And it was amazing. And so the support within the Raytown city, Raytown area, Raytown was amazing too. So I was excited about that part.
And the good thing about that too, what you did was very strategic. Because Raytown and Kansas City are very close in location, and then Graceway Church is right by the Kansas City border and right by the Raytown border.
Right.
And then of course Independence like right around the corner. So you was like knocking out a lot of birds with that too as well. Also,
it was.
Yeah, and and that's why it's so important that you're back, because what you're doing is you're giving people another option. You're giving people another opportunity. Because there are some individuals who may not want to sit in a venue based on what else is going on,
right?
Or they may not want to perform in a venue based on what else is going on.
Right.
So because everyone's not cut the same way in poetry, and the arts is not all funneled through one. It's multiple,
that's true.
Yeah, it's multiple facets. So let me ask you this. You gave us the event, you gave us your organization. Let's talk about the man behind all of this, because I did mention earlier that you're a poet as well too.
Yes, sir.
Now, where did you get your start?
Actually, man, shout out to Glenn North. My first ever, I started writing in a journal. That was my biggest thing, and I was able to write down my thoughts and understand that. Yeah, mind you, I don't want to say I'm old, but I'll be 50, right? So I'm kind of aging. So in the 90s. After high school, different things like that, still writing a journal. Verbal Attack was doing an event on 19th on Grand, not Grand, up in 18th and Vine area, and on 19th Street. And that was my first time ever hearing poets, putting together words and different things like that. And I was like, I like that. So I was like, I think I can do that. And so through trial and error, through growth and understanding, through conversation, through mentorship, Glenn North was very intricate part on me getting better, learning and growing, and also doing other things, which allowed me to say, okay, and it created a love for the art form, because I started doing my history, on all of the poets, that's before you. So I believe that you can't go forward if you don't understand who came before you.
Exactly.
And I think that's the biggest thing, that even now hearing Glenn just a few weeks ago, he went back and redid a poem and just paying homage to those that came before you. So I think that is very vital to my passion and to creating. So I'll forever, and I see him every time I tell him, I forever give him a shout out, because I was grateful for the opportunity, and then for the lessons that it's learning. He's actually been helping me with my daughter and stuff like that too. So shout out to him for real, and he's an intricate part of that.
Yeah, Glenn is an intricate part of a lot of poets' lives.
Man,
I remember when I first started writing, I was doing a lot of short stories and things like that. And I used to work at Upward Bound with Natasha Rear Elskari, and I remember
amazing poet.
Yes, and I met Mrs. Elskari. I miss Elskari, and she was like, yeah, I was working with her, and she told me she was a poet as well too. And we were talking, and every day we have lunch together at the staff. And one day I was sitting down with her, and the gentleman was sitting next to her. She said, "This is my friend Glenn North," and I said, "Oh, okay." And then to hear both of them talking,
man.
I was able to sit at the table with both of them, just feeding from them. And I'm like, they serious.
Yeah.
And I mean, I learned how to be serious about your craft from those two at a young age, and I'm thankful to actually be there. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think in that and there was another group, very 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 intricate part to poetry in the city was the Black Poets Collective, with Gino Morrow, actually Natasha Ria Ascari, Lewis Moulton, just to name a few. But sitting in that room at times and then watching whether they had paper or whether they did it memory, to be able to perform at such a high level every single time, that added to, okay, you can't just get up here and just you know what I mean, just write some words and then just say them. It's not just that. And then one thing that I had to learn was to find my voice, because I know some people in the beginning they copy deliveries because that's who they saw or that's who they know, or what's your cadence versus this cadence, does this match, and what kind of where your inflections are. And it's all about practice. It's all about those things. And that's the one thing that I learned watching all of these people, to be able to sit there, like you were saying, and just sit, at, poetry's feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because they are steeples in this game. They're writers, they're published, they're, all of those things. So it's actually, it was really beneficial, man. It really, really was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, seriously. 'Cause I mean, and like a lot of the poets that we run with say the exact same thing. I mean, those are the two names that pop up a lot,
right,
in regards to poetry. I mean, it's like, and also the cool thing about, Miss Ascari and Glenn is, they're very accessible, and they're very open, and they're very
they love to share knowledge. Man.
Yeah, they do.
They
do.
They do. But they'll let you know if you're not serious about this thing.
Yeah.
Don't don't play with this art form that they love.
Right.
And I think that's a value that some people don't wasn't able to come up come around. And I think that was some of the younger generation missed that molding that took place. That, okay, I know you like to write and I know you're good, but let me help you hone your skills together. Let me work with you. And then to be able to take the correction to say, okay, that doesn't sound right, or dig deeper in this, in where you are in your life or your emotions and different things like that. And so I'm a firm believer that as a poet, I don't write for the audience. I write from my heart. And so if I'm writing for the snaps and for the attention, then I'm not writing at a pure place.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I was able to sit down and speak with H&R Block, the founder, and he said, if you want to be rich, don't start a business just because you want to get rich.
Exactly.
No, you're not successful like that. You start the business because you love what you're doing. Then success will follow.
And that's actually with His Will. I did not look at His Will as a business. I looked at it as two things. I needed it because I was in environments kind of like what you were saying that had everything, right? And I was leaving the stage unfulfilled. Like, I would say something, or I perform a piece and everybody like, yo man, that was great, blah blah, yada yada yada. And then to get up there and it's like something completely contradictory. And I love everybody and their freedom of expression. And I never try and censor anyone's expression. Your expression is your expression. Your heart is your heart. Your words are your words. But I was unfulfilled. Once I left the stage. And so I felt it as a need, for something that I needed. But also, I love the arts, and I just didn't want poetry. I love the arts in its purity. I love singing. I love hip hop. I love drawing. Art is art, and so I think that's the thing that I love about it. I love music. So I mean, the goal was to create a variety show, to realize that, okay, not just poets need to express their gifts. There's hip hop artists that needs a stage. There's singers that needs a platform. There's dancers that needs a platform. There's artists that needs a platform. So we used to mix everything, and I think those vital things of bringing all of that together is something that you're going to bring a diverse set of people and say, okay, you may not like poetry, but let me introduce it to you. If I surround it around singing, or if I surround it around hip hop, or I surround it about something, once you realize, oh man, I didn't even know I like poetry like that. And thus, the success of it all was because of that. I saw it as a need, but then I also saw it as an outlet for others. And then once I realized the value in it, like, oh man, this is great. And so there was such an excitement, such a passion for it. It was easy. The success came automatically because it came from a pure place in my heart. I wasn't getting it trying to get how many people I can get in my seats and how much money I can make and, this, that, and the third. And a lot of things was birthed out of that because it was done at a pure place in my heart.
And I like how you said the purity of the heart, because one thing I like about our people, artists, is we can tell if something's authentic.
Exactly.
And if something is fake.
Exactly.
And there's been, a few times where I've actually sat down and, heard somebody perform, and I'm like, it's a nice piece,
right?
But I know that's not authentic,
right?
And it's funny because I teach, and I had a student in class, and I'm gonna show my kid this. I'm gonna show my student this show. He, they say that a teacher's class is a reflection of that teacher,
right?
So the kids are sitting there, and I gave them all an assignment. I said, I want all you all to do do poems in groups. And this group got up, and they was doing a poem. And I sat there, and this group got up, and they were doing it. I'm looking, and I said, okay. And one of my boys back there like, so I said, hey, why are you making no sense? He said, Mr. Gethers, that ain't them. It's not them. And some of the other kids was like, I said, okay, I must have missed something. He said, Mr. Gethers, remember when you showed us that poem about Simon Says? I said, yeah. He said, can you please pull up that spoken word piece? And I pulled it up, and he said, Mr. Gethers, they did the exact same thing they did, but changed the words. That ain't authentic. And I said, wow. I'm like, okay, you caught that. And I'm like, kid, you've only been doing poetry for like, about a couple months. Like I was telling my students, I said, for him to sit up here and call that out, it was already in him.
Exactly.
And then, of course, the kids, we talked about it, and they went back and they redid their stuff. But, he's like, yeah, look, he said, write your own stuff. This is not you. And the fact that this child reiterated that, he's on his way.
And that, I think that, like you said, that really speaks to the purity of learning to love the art form. And honestly, and it's funny, not funny, haha, but it's funny that you say that. That's literally how my daughter got started. So we were actually supposed to do a poem together for our anniversary, New Year's Eve at our church. And somehow, based upon, with COVID and everything like that, some things happened and we wasn't able to do that. But we were all just kind of sitting around, writing. And I just told my daughter, I was like, just start writing. And she was like, about what? I said, just start writing. And so we were having conversations, myself, my wife, about what 2019 was and, how COVID affected, your life and different things like that. And, this, that, and the third. And so my daughter was just writing it for like an hour, for about an hour. And I'm writing, I have my laptop, she had her phone. And she's just writing. And then I stopped and I said, what do you have? And she read the first line. And my wife sat up. We looked at each other like, where did this come from? So she was going forward with the rest of what she had wrote. We're still stuck on the first line. So she's in the middle. And so we're like, hold on. Go back to that first line, because it had to take me a second to process. And that's when I know, okay, it's in this kid. It's not, like a friend of mine said, he said, this is not this is not just fun and games. This is authentic. to be able to learn how to write and layer and stuff like that. But we had her reading so much. She was reading 100 books in the summer. And I'm not talking thin books. I'm talking chapter books.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. So sitting under poets like, you know, the Purpose and the Amazing Nelsons, and, you know, standing around some of the poets from the Poets and Autumn Tour, some of the national poets and different things like that. She set up under that since she was 7. And I never forced her to say, okay, I need you to become a poet. I don't follow in my footsteps or, you know, any of those things. It literally genuinely was in her. And just like with your student, if you're pointing out things in just a couple of months, the love of the art to where you don't want to see anybody else take somebody else's words and call it their own. And that's
real, because he didn't even know these poets. He was like, no, that's not right. But like, to go back with your daughter, I was Victoria's teacher for, I say, about a month. and you probably like, what? I said, no, but here's the thing. Ed had hit me up and said, man, you know, you're my daughter's teacher. Yeah. And I said, cool, I'm going to keep a lookout for her. And I was in class, and I had some lessons and stuff, and my co-teacher and I was in class, and I said, you know what? Victoria don't need to be in here. And I hit up Ed, and he said, what you mean? I said, no, man. I said, no. I said, she needs to be enriched. And he said, but so she's not going to have you? I said, I'm a good teacher.
Right.
Yeah. I said, but the class that I'm teaching right now, Victoria, she needs to be in the enriched class. And you know, we went back and forth with it, and you was like, yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do. And I got her in that enriched class because she needed to be there. And when she got in that enriched class, I mean, every morning Victoria would come by and still speak. And I'm like, how's class going? She's like, great. And she was knocking the doors off of that class. I'm like, this child needs to be getting high school credit right now in the 8th grade. I said, because we were sitting there in class, and this one particular student needed help. She said, I'm done with all my work, Mr. Gethers. What can I do? I said, well, you can help another student. And the way she sat down, I mean, she didn't even know this kid. And this was a kid that, you know, he had some behavioral issues. He said, hi, I'm Victoria. What's your name? And he looked at me, and I'm like, she asked you what your name was. And he told her her name, and she actually helped him out, and he got the assignment. Then I said, oh, yeah, she got to go. I said, yeah. And I think that was probably one of the best decisions that I probably made since I've been in that school district, was recognizing that this child, and I'm not just saying that because you're here,
right?
But I'm like, you know, I'm recognizing this child's talent, because let's be real, in enriched classes, you don't see kids that look like us.
That's true.
And I made sure someone that special looked like you was up in there.
Right. And but that's honestly a testament to you as a teacher. I mean, because you could have kept her, you know what I mean, in a space that, you know, that you felt that she didn't need to be in. But he was like, well, wait a minute, let me let her spread her wings, because she needs to be and needs to know more. And but that's what happened with, you know, the other schools that we went to. Teachers are acknowledging, you know, teaching the kid and understanding, okay, this child needs to be over here.
Yes.
That is really making sure the kids get exactly what they need. And we don't have a lot of that. There's teachers now that'll just let kids float.
Yeah.
And be like, man, I want to get, you know, Johnny out my classroom because I know he's gonna be. So I'm just gonna let him do what he need to do just to get him out. You know what I mean, or let him go. And I worked at a school district. I was a custodian, but I used to watch how teachers. I'm like, he needs to be taught. You know, give him a little few extra minutes. And she was like, no, he give me too much trouble. I just want to get him out of my class. And so yeah, it's a sad case that they're actually, and I'm not saying it's every teacher, but there are some teachers that are not doing everything they need to do.
Yeah, and you know, and I'm a teacher, and I'm not gonna bash on good teachers. I'll bash on the bad one. Because I mean, right now, when you look at education, you see people say, well, you know, you got a lot of vacancies, and I said, well, of course, you got a lot of good teachers that are leaving.
Exactly.
Because they're not getting, you never get paid your worth. They're not getting their worth or their flowers.
Right.
And I mean, I even thought about leaving. I'll admit that. But I mean, you got too many secret shoppers. And when I say secret shoppers, you have teachers feeling that they can cherry pick who they want. I want this kid, that kid, this kid, this kid. Now, if I was one of them teachers, I would have easily kept your daughter in my class to boost my test scores and make me look good.
Right.
And that's not how it goes. I mean, I'm like, this child needs to go so where her abilities can be spotlighted away from this here. And I wanted her to get challenged, and I put her in a challenging situation, and she rose to the occasion. And and we have a lot of teachers who are infiltrators too. We have infiltrators in our profession who aren't really teachers, but they're in there trying to play school. And I was not going to allow anyone. I don't allow anyone to play school with our kids. When I say our kids, I mean all the ones in my classroom, black, white, all in between, doesn't matter. LGBTQ plus, straight, don't matter. You mine.
Right.
And we have people that are in there doing that. And the fact that you said that your daughter, because she was able to be put into positions to where, okay, spread your wings, get challenged, do an hour free write. She's now featuring at this wonderful event that's coming up.
Yeah, and as we were able to actually to perform together during for Black History Month at my church, and the fact that it was an amazing thing to be able to write, and my daughter challenged me, and it wasn't like a verbal challenge like, hey, do this, do that, but just as a father and as a writer, you're seeing the level of the writing that you're on. It's like, okay, I have to match that, or I have to be able to, because I can't, and then just the just that person in me that I just don't want to be, I want my stuff to sound right too. I don't want to lose on this track. You know what I'm saying? When you think about it, I don't want to be the dead weight in the poem, right? I want to be the light, matching the light. Right. You know what I mean? Working together, and so we can both, illuminate, our separate voices, and to understand our cadences and the differences in our cadence and our deliveries, and to help her establish her cadence and understand her deliveries and what works for her. Those things are beneficial because they were instilled in me, and now I'm able to bring that down. And so everyone's like, even Glenn, he's made it knowledge. Like, how old was she when she wrote that? And because when he first heard it, he was like, when he first read it, he was like, I was going to let you, I'm going to read it because it's your daughter, right? And he was like, I was expecting like this 15-year-old, I was thinking of something, I was having something completely different perspective-wise. And he read it, he was like, man, he said, it's like, man, she's great. And so to have somebody like Glenn North to validate her, and somebody that mentored me, and now he's like, okay, man, let's do this, that, and the third, and different things like that, because of the fact that she loves the art form, the fact that her writing is reflective of a person that has been writing for years, and she's literally only been honestly writing seriously, not poetry wise, since she was 15.
How old is she now?
She's 17.
Okay.
So, and if she is the way she is right now at 15 to 17, by the time she's 18 to 24 range, and have a little bit more life experiences under her belt and different things like that, and different perspectives that she could, and I don't quench what she writes, right? And I think that's been important. I want you to write how you feel, because I want your heart to be pure when it's on stage. And so we cultivate some things, we critique some things and say do this and do that. But as writers, that's what you do.
Exactly. Yeah. You're supposed to. Yeah, you're supposed to critique.
Yeah. If I can't help you, or if you can't accept correction, then I don't believe that you're a real writer, because every writer, no matter how great you are, has had someone to say, okay, dig deeper, or what did you mean here, or where did you come up with this thought process from? Okay, so expound on this. And so I think all of those things are beneficial. It's a part of your growth.
Of course. Now, you talked about Victoria being one of, she's one of the poets that's going to be featured.
Yes, sir.
So let's get some background on some of the other poets that be featured for your
man. Sherry Purpose Hall, for those that don't know, she is the number 2 poet in the world, right? So she has been writing, and she was actually originally a part of, For His Will when it first started, and back in 2006. And her story and her testament to where she is now has been amazing. Some of the things that she's been through, but she is phenomenal.
Yes, she is.
Phenomenal poet. My brother Brent Rice, he did a poem to his wife. It's called A Crucifixion Type Love. And it is an amazing piece. I think it's probably at like 2 million views or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. It was literally one of the greatest poems I've ever heard, and it was just basically talking about how he wants to love his wife. And so he's done a lot of different things. He's he did some things on the Poets and Autumn Tour stage as well. So Brent is just phenomenal. So those two plus my daughter. Now my bro Chris Cobbins, he is a singer, and when I tell you, Chris Cobbins is an amazing artist. He's actually worked with everybody from Lecrae to Jason to. He's done hooks for all these people. He's, Dove Award nominated artist. So these are not lightweight people that's going to be on the stage. My sis, Lakeisha Star Harvey, phenomenal poet, a part of the, For His Will team. Man, she's been blazing the stage for a minute. And so her delivery is based upon her heart. And when I tell you her words matches that, and it matches the heart, it's from a pure place. It's gonna be, I cannot wait. And so we're gonna have my DJ that's been rocking with me since 2006, my co-host. So we're gonna have comedy.
Really?
So for us to get together, man, it's, DJ, everybody that knows DJ Trey that's been to a For His Will event understands the fun foolishness that we're going to have as hosts and co-hosts on this stage. The goal is to remind you of, as believers, why you love Christ. It's important to understand that He is the center. And so we can laugh, we can joke. The music is going to reflect it. My DJ, speakers is going to be crazy. So, the music's not going to be like lightweight.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal. The goal of it, man, is just really to, especially with COVID, after COVID, one thing I did, and then one thing I understood, that COVID exposed a lot.
It sure did.
It caused homes to, be severed. It caused believers to, falter in their faith. And so I really believe right now is just the time to where we all just need to come together just to enjoy each other, right? Just to have fun, just to love on each other because it's needed. A lot of us haven't seen each other, since before COVID, and some further than that. And the fact that we are coming together to be able to just to enjoy each other, man, I think, and those is going to be in attendance, those is going to be on an open mic, whoever that's going to be. I really believe and know for sure that it's going to be that reminder, which is what my singular focus is to remind you that as believers, man, there's a platform for you first. The fact that we love God, and the fact that there's no way that being a believer is dull. Now, it's challenging, but life is challenging. But we understand as believers how we can, stick our chest out, lean on our Father, and just kind of keep pushing.
Now, what is the mission for?
It is only $10.
Really?
Yeah, I refuse to. Again, for me, it's not about making money, right? I understand gas is still where it is, and I understand groceries are. So I don't want you to make a life decision on, do I want to go to For His Will that Saturday night, or do I need to get gas in my car, or whatever the case may be. So I kept it at the same price that I've had since 2007. So I haven't increased that price. And I just believe that, you know, if you do it for money, and that's not saying there's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with that abundant life. But I believe, you know, when your heart is in the right place and your goal is just for people to come and enjoy themselves and not to have to worry about, there's going to be food, you know, going to be able to purchase there and stuff like that night. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to...
Yeah.
It's
you got to take care of people.
Yeah.
So, like, can people pay at the door, pay on Eventbrite or Cash App?
It is all at the door.
Okay.
And the reason why I do that is because I didn't want to add Eventbrite to add the upcharges. You know what I mean? So, again, you know, if you want to... I always do that because I don't want to... I get in trouble when I say, hey, man, cash at me if you can't, you know, whatever. Meet me at the door.
Right, yeah. And then if you want to cash app him, look at him at the door and cash app him.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that prepay stuff. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm like, I've been in lost your place. It's just...
Or someone come in and like, hey, man, I had 5 tickets.
Yeah.
Nah, ain't my fault you lost it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so
and they bring it to everybody.
Meet me at the door. Yeah.
Now, you said you're going to have food there, too. So you got a caterer coming in or you got
No,
food
actually, it's a
or?
Restaurant. So, yeah, so they're going to, if everything goes right. If not, we'll make sure our goal is to have something there for if we need to do catering, we'll do that. But it is a restaurant, so we are making sure that it'll be, you know, there's going to be food. If not, we'll definitely have, you know, something there for some people to purchase. So, yes. So either way it goes, either you're gonna have something to eat. Now we're not feeding everybody. If we have a caterer, but you know what I mean. We make sure
something there for you.
Yeah, because we don't want you to, you know, I want you to leave and you know not be nourished. So our goal is we're gonna need you nourish you, you know, speak to your body, soul, and your mental. You know what I mean?
That's
so
right,
that's the goal.
And a lot of these pours that you're talking about now, I'm familiar with most, but not all. I know I'm gonna go. I'm definitely gonna be there to support.
He's gonna be on a mic too, so y'all gotta.
Yeah,
he's gonna be on. Yeah,
okay.
His name is already on the list.
You know what? I'll do the open mic. Now I'm gonna do the open mic if I can call. You call me, I'm gonna call out a poet too. Seth Irving.
Yeah.
Seth, you know I know you be out there doing your roller skating, man. I want you to come on out to For His Will, and get on that open mic too. You know, I mean, you call me out, I'll go ahead and do one. And Seth, you need to come out because Seth is dope.
Yeah, I actually heard him at one of the at the Poetry on the Vine.
I connected you to.
Yeah, Poetry on the Vine. So I've heard him too. He's an amazing, phenomenal artist. So I really like. He has a book too, right?
A couple of them out.
Yeah. So definitely, if you have your books, please bring your books. You'll be able to.
Oh, really? We can vend?
Yeah.
Oh, I got some books too.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the goal of it is, man, to be a full service shop. You know what I mean? So, you know, we try and support those that have, you know, that you have merch. You know what I mean? So, if you have it to sell that day, we're not gonna be like, no. You know what I mean? So, I don't, again. As artists, that is a part of you making money,
right? And
because that's a part of your craft, and so I wouldn't dare quench nobody for
definitely taking care of the community with that.
Absolutely,
I mean, because if you're an artist, you got merch, hit ad up.
Yeah, and so bring it and bring your A game though. Now I mean, you know I'm gonna tell you, you know I'm a critiquer.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but I mean that goes based upon how it was brought up in the industry. I mean, you know everyone will tell you I'll always give you both positive feedback as well as say, hey,
that constructive piece.
Yeah, constructive, and because the goal of it is always to build you up, never to tear you down. And if you take it, you can only take it how you take it. But my goal has always been to uplift, never to tear down, because that doesn't benefit no one if I'm just constantly, the only thing I'm doing is saying, oh man, that poem was horrible. Or what do you mean with that line? Or why'd you say that? Nah, but I know people that have done that though. And so I've never wanted to be that kind of person. I've always wanted to uplift and never tear down.
Yeah, because I mean, it feels bad to get torn down, because I did my very first book signing. And I was only able to do one because some things happened this summer.
Right.
And I was out at the Painted Tree. Shout out to my cousin Brand for Smith hooking that up. And this lady and her family came by, and I had, I got 2 books out, and one of the books, the cover is kind of sensual, and then another book, the cover is just, just like nature.
Right.
And the lady immediately said, "I don't want to buy no nasty book from you." I said, "Oh, wow." And then she said, "Look at that cover right there." And she said, "Look at you." She said, "I can tell by the way you look, you're a nasty writer." And some of the brothers was out there, and they was like, "Whoa, are you serious?" I mean, she was just going hard on me. And then she said, "How dare you sell a sex book to a child?" And I said, "Ma'am, this is not this book right here." So then her daughter was like, "Well, my daughter, this is my my daughter wants to write." And the young lady, she was about 15, Victoria's age, but prior. She said, "I love poetry, and I want to write poetry." So then the mother said, "Can you write? Can she read a poem out of your book?" I said, "Yes," and I gave her the book that was more, family orientated. And the grandmother said, "Make sure it ain't nothing nasty." And I'm like, "Okay." And she just, she's calling me all these deplorable names. And there was a poem called Dreamcatcher, and the young lady, I said, "You can read this one." So as she's reading it, the grandmother steps over and says, "Look at that, as I tuck you in." And I said, "Ma'am, you need to stop. This is a poem I wrote about my son. If you keep reading, it's a poem about me tucking in my son at night to go sleep." And she just kind of looked like, and kind of, but then the mother was like, "Yeah, my daughter really wants to work with poetry." So, I have an organization where we help out kids with poetry.
Right.
And because, the grandma was acting like that, I just had to just back away because, see, sometimes people come at us with the negative all the time. And, constructive criticism, I love it.
Right.
But that negative stuff, it really makes you, it really stinks. And that stung me for a while.
Yeah,
it really did.
Because that's a knock on your art form without reading it. That's literally judging a book by its cover and not getting to the why of why things are. And so I think that is the thing about poetry. I know there's a lot of poets that are not believers. Yeah, okay, but there's the poets that are believers and may say words or make cuss in their poems or different things like that. Okay. That's what they do. Right. That doesn't take away from them as an artist. Right. That's just at that particular part. That's where they are in their art form. That is the way that they're expressing themselves. And the thing about poetry is there's no real way or wrong way to express where you are. Exactly. And that's why I've never been like, "Oh man, they were like, Ed, I know you're a Christian, and I know you only do this and this and that." And I was like, no, I grew into where I am. I had those, I had all of that. But for me, that didn't work for me. But for someone else, that works for them. So, but I'm not going to force me on you. Right. You know what I mean? I'm going to let you express yourself. And then I'm going to say, okay, hey, try this. Okay, hey, with that, try that, and see what kind of reaction you get, or how do you feel when you wrote it this way, or try it this way. Okay, cool. And I think at the end of the day, when you actually come at them from a pure place, from a pure heart, and don't judge the book by the cover, then what happens is you could literally stop somebody from growing because of your negativity. And if you would have allowed that grandmother to stop you from, I'm not going to even teach poetry to the kids. Exactly. And so if you wouldn't have taught it to your student, he wouldn't have been able to point out and find a passion. So the fact that you were able to push past it and understand it and grow from it and say, okay, I'm not going to allow you to put me in a space where I know where my heart was when I wrote these books. Yeah. And so because of that, that's all beneficial, man. And I think that's the part of it. That's the part of poetry, man, that I love. I love every type of poet. I don't care who it is, what you saying. And it just so happens that I'm a poet that just happens to be a Christian. And I'm a poet that just happens to love God. And I'm a poet that just happens to express that in some of my poems. But also in the same breath, I'm a poet that realized that I have been through life. And so my life experiences is going to be expressed in my words, because at the end of the day, I feel like I want to encourage, not disencourage somebody from doing what they do. And so I don't throw no stones at nobody.
Yeah, we can't.
And for those that do, shame on you, for real talk.
Yeah, because, you live in a glass house. And
Man.
yeah.
You at and it's not for and everything is not for the lighthearted, and just kind of like how we censoring people now because of what you saying, and I don't say this and this and that. I can't do this and I can't say that. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I think we need to stop censoring people and just make them comfortable with consequence.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna say and do things.
Right. Exactly.
There's always gonna be a consequence.
Exactly.
It is what it is. You gotta live with it. If I hauled up and said something crazy on the air, Mr. Walker sitting right back there, hey, I'll pull your show. I mean, hey, it's like we talked about something happened on wrestling last night. If I hauled up and said the stuff that they said,
right. Yeah, it
Right.
may be some consequences and repercussions.
It sure will be.
But I think that's a part of growth, though, and I think that's where you understand those that come before you, and you sit with them, and you understand, okay, in this space I need to be this way, but in this space I'll be a little bit more free. I understand how to operate in the locations that I'm at. I'ma act accordingly to where I am, and when you feel like you can be a little bit more looser, you can say a little bit more, you can express yourself a little bit different, then you do that. But I'm just the kind of person to where I know what works for me, and I'm not going to deviate from that because that's just who I am. But I'm not gonna push, who I am on anybody else.
Exactly.
I think it's just beneficial. I think my grandmother used to say, it takes all kinds to make the world go round. And if you didn't have all kinds of people to make the world go round, the world would be a boring place.
Sure would be.
Because if everybody is monotone or this way or saying the same thing, there's no different perspectives that creates a conversation, that creates a challenge. And I think that's what poetry does. Poetry is there's not a music. I'm going to force you to sit here and listen to what I'm saying. And so now you got to put your thinking cap on. Okay, so you said this and said that. Okay, now that's a conversation starter. And I think as poets, as artists, that's what we do. My goal is to challenge you. And I want you to challenge me in what you just got on here. And then let's have a conversation and a dialogue. And that's what poetry does, man, especially when it's done in its purest. You're going to sit there and be like, man, I never thought about that.
Right, yeah.
I never looked at it from that perspective.
Exactly. And you made a comment, you said, being yourself. And I like that the poets we hang around, everyone has their own unique style. Sherry Purpose Hall is her. John Parker Lewis is him. Ed frickin' Rollins is him. Terrence Williams is him. Angela Roulette is her. Bonafide G is him. Everyone is their own person. But then when you take different combinations of all these poets and put them in a venue or on a stage, on an open mic, you will see all kind of different variations of beauty. And that's one thing that people, it's like Granny said, is different people make the world go round.
Yep.
And that's what you need,
And it's amazing, even within his will over the years, man. Those that may do poems a different way in a different venue, they've all been on the his will stage, and they understand, okay, I need to operate in the spirit that I'm in. Okay, so I'm operating in the spirit that I'm in, and I'm gonna respect the person, right? But also, it's, as an artist, you have to be versatile, and so the versatility to be able to still speak certain things in certain spheres, it takes some juggling, because everybody can't go in every venue and be received.
Right.
I've just been blessed to where I can go in any venue and be received, because I stand true to my convictions.
Yes.
Have I been challenged based upon my beliefs in non-Christian settings? Absolutely. When we used to do jazz poetry jams, I did a poem and I was good at freestyle, and literally this cat wrote a whole poem about me. It took a month. The jazz poetry jam was every to the month, And my dude waited a month to get this whole poem in my name and put my name, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what I do? Just because I just choose to be a believer, and I just chose to do that day. And so everybody knew I could freestyle. It was like, they looking at me like, okay, I know he gonna say something. I know he gonna come back with a response. My response was, I did my poem when I won my money, right? You know what I mean? So I'm not, right. I'm not going to allow your energy to take away, to allow me to do something that is contradictory to who I am. And my win was, no matter what you said, that means you have been sitting there thinking about me for an entire month, and I can care less about who you are even that point and then that day. So I
like that's wisdom. Yeah, good poem.
Yeah, and I gave him a dab. I was like, that's dope.
Glad to see I was on your mind.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for thinking about me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I felt honored. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, now before we go, let's give everyone something to think about. I want you to please shoot down the venue, the date, who's going to be on stage, and also the admission.
Okay. So it is Saturday, September the 24th, For His Will to Return, featuring Brent Rice, Lakeisha Starr Harvey, Chris Cobbins, Sherry Purvis Hall, and my daughter. And I said that last but certainly not least, my daughter, Victoria Rollins. It is actually going to be at Mr. B's on 7815 Prospect. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts promptly, and I will start promptly with or without you. I do not believe in, unless it's for unforeseen situations, I will not. I will start on time, and it's only $10 at the door, and I'm very excited. Like, the closer I get to September, I'm getting even more and more hype, man. So I'm excited. So I cannot wait for September the 24th and those doors open. And then we got another announcement coming soon. My wife, Shrita Rollins, is working on her first book. So we're gonna be talking about that night as well. We can kind of let you know the title you need, God and the Plan. And she is a phenomenal writer. So I cannot wait for everyone to read this book that is going to be coming the fall of 2022. So again, shout out to my wife. So we just got writers all in the house, and my daughter's following, my baby girl is following behind the footsteps of everybody in the crib. So it's gonna be it's a house full of writers right now.
We need to bring all y'all on the show.
Yes,
for real.
Yeah, so definitely with my wife, man. When you talk to her, and her book is just really talking about a lot of things, you know, from the loss of our daughter to some of the steps that she took to where she is right now, and how she was able to literally, you know, triple her income and different things like that. So, and that's where that you need God in a Plan, and that's where that whole thing came from. So, we're excited about that. Excited about, you know, what's, you know, going down the pike. You know, the next goal is to get, you know, Victoria Chapbook working. So, yeah. So
I know an editor.
Yeah.
Well, Ed, thank you for coming in. Please look him up on social media. Also, Ed, when you get that flyer, please send me the flyer. I'm going to put it on KUAW's website.
Yes, sir. And
also some other areas, too. For his will, I'm going to be there. It's also going to be an open mic.
Yeah, he's going to be an open mic, too.
So come check it out. This is the source of Inkwell. In Inkwell, education overflows like ink, and like knowledge, let it stay permanent. Also, be your authentic self in your art. This is Tyrone Gethers Jr. with a special guest, Mr. Ed frickin' Rollins. For his will, we will see you. I will see you next week. Ed will see you
Saturday, September 24th. We're going to be in the building.
All right. See you there. That was dope.
Oh, yeah, that was fun, man.